everybody. The block is hot. We got a lot about to talk about here on the 504 podcast. Let's start with them Tigers. What a week for the LSU Tigers. Zach, what can you say, man? I mean, you want to talk about recruiting first, or do you want to talk about the coaching hires they've made?
Let's do the coaching hires, man.
Yeah,
You
I
know, I'll
mean,
go on a tangent when it comes to recruiting, so we might as well all dive into the coaching hires.
yeah. Well, Blake Baker, we kind of talked about that Friday. It came to fruition. New defensive coordinator. You know, it's a guy that developed Moon Clark. I think it's a pretty good hire. And then they go and get out a pretty good defensive line coach. What is your thoughts? Let's start with Mike first.
Bo Davis, obviously the biggest. Well, Bo Davis and Blake Baker, both massive hires. You know, I've never seen so much praise just from players themselves from Blake Baker. It seemed like former players have come out and said a lot of things, a lot of positive things. So that's very encouraging. If that's true, then I would suspect he's a great recruiter, right? And then obviously Bo Davis is a big hire. They talk about how great of a recruiter he is. I'm not totally familiar with all the players he's recruited. I actually looked at Texas recruiting class for the D line. They don't even really have anybody up there, but everyone raves about these two hires. So as an LSU fan, you got to be feeling pretty good. Zach knows more about it, so probably defer to him on that.
Yeah, I mean, Blake Baker is an absolute home run hire, and then you follow it up with Bo Davis. I feel like it can't really get too much better for those two positions, or that side of the ball in general. Bo Davis he's a pretty good recruiter, but he's a really good player development coach. So like we can all sit back and kind of say like, oh, it's only like 3 stars, 4 stars. It's also really hard to evaluate, the interior defensive line and stuff. So when it comes to recruiting class as a whole, I think that's a work in progress. But amazing hire, obviously. Bo Davis was somebody that they wanted to bring back home really, really badly. They've been wanting to do that for years, and they finally got it done. Blake Baker's he's an excellent X's and O's coach. I think he's gonna knock it out the park as well. And look, that's kind of like your 1-2 punch, but you're not done yet. I mean, you could go see Blake Baker go after Missouri, like edge / defensive line coach Kevin Peoples. That's a guy that has gotten a lot of praise over the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, and I wouldn't be surprised if LSU really, really locked in and tried to get him too. And I guess the question could be like, why would you get 2 defensive line coaches? And, really you'd have Bo Davis working with the interior defensive line and then have Peoples on the edge rushers. So it'd be a really good 1-2 punch on both the recruiting trail and, player from a player development perspective. And then look, you got Corey Raymond is a really hot name in the realm for LSU right now. And I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with that. I think too many people are talking about it for it to happen. But look, the recruits want him, the signees want him, the players want him. Everybody wants him, but it's really a matter of if Blake Baker wants him, and I'm not quite sure what they're going to do there. But some people are sitting here talking about, are they going to do one secondary coach, or are they going to break it into 2 different ones? And I was talking to some people, like kind of within the program, and it's going to be something where they get 2 different ones. They're going to get a cornerbacks and a safeties coach. So we'll see. The hires so far, they're 2 for 2, back-to-back home run hires, and we'll see if they can get Peoples, and then we'll see what they do with the rest of the secondary, because a bunch of different coaching options are about to be available with so many coaching moves happening right now.
Is that where the disconnect? Wait, is that where the disconnect is with Raymond? Is because when Bill Bush came in, he coached safeties, right?
That I wouldn't say that's the disconnect. I think there's some hurdles that need to be jumped before you even bring somebody like Corey Raymond back on board, because he hasn't been hot the last couple of years. Like
terrible.
Everybody wants to jump on board and say like he's this excellent recruiter, because he is. He's a good recruiter. And you can't discredit him for being a really good recruiter, but from a player development perspective, there's a lot of different things that need to be jumped. And I think Brian Kelly's going to be super cautious before he puts, not necessarily pen to paper, but before he officially offers somebody that gig.
Who else are they looking at?
I might be the only guy. Hold on. I might be the only guy here that's off Corey Raymond, but the LSU secondary that we had when he was here for 2 years, the last 2 years he was here, was terrible. He gets fired. Kelly doesn't bring him on for a reason. He goes to Florida. Okay, you can recruit. How's your secondary at Florida? Dog shit. So the last 4 seasons he's been a coach, he's been a terrible coach. So like all this, Corey Raymond. Okay, yeah, he can recruit, but is he a good defensive back coach?
Yeah, maybe it really comes down to player development, to be honest. And like my thing is like that Florida stint was really short lived, for good reason. I mean, it was definitely time to part ways. I think Napier made a good call there, but at the same time, man, that Florida team played a lot of youngsters. So he didn't really have time to develop his young guys like Kamari Wilson, 5-star safety who has a lot of potential. There's a lot of things that they're kind of like a bunch of, what ifs with Corey Raymond. I don't know what they're going to do there. I'm indifferent on it. I think he's a great recruiter. I think he has a lot of upside from a coaching perspective too. But you got to get the players too. Like the personnel is one thing as well. Like you can talk about a coach, but you still got to bring the personnel. And Mike, to what you were saying, is there another guy that they're looking at? TJ Rushing. He's a defensive backs coach at Texas A&M right now. That's a guy that's kind of been a name, but it's been a lot of speculation, not a lot of concrete stuff. So those are the two names that are being tossed around in the defensive backfield from a coaching perspective. It's Corey Raymond and TJ Rushing, but you're going to see a lot of movement happen over the next couple of days, especially with the new Bama coach, with Washington making movements, and a bunch of the coaching carousel in general. So you're going to see a bunch of different things happen. I wouldn't just stick with those two names for right now.
What about Terry Bussey? Like if they get Rushing, do you think they could lure Terry Bussey from A&M? Like would that have any kind of impact on that?
I don't think you ever get a coach just for a player.
No, I'm saying like if they did get him, like obviously I haven't heard of anything saying like, oh, they're going to hire him for Bussy, but like if I would assume that'd be a little sweetener for Bussy if he did.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think Bussey's recruitment is so wide open right now. He's about to take a bunch of visits. He's going to come to LSU this month. I think he's going to go back to A&M. I think maybe it was a Tennessee visit. There's 3 or 4 visits that he's set to take this month. Obviously before the National Signing Day in February. But to answer your question in short, yeah, I mean, obviously if you bring Rushing in, that would give Bussey a little bit more of intrigue to come to Baton Rouge. But they look at him as a player that can play both sides of the ball, even all 3 facets of the game. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I think that would definitely help with the Bussey sweepstakes.
Going back to Bo Davis, have you guys looked at LSU's defensive tackle depth?
They're all gone,
dude. If Mason Smith doesn't come back, like it's hard to like criticize a kid for going on the NFL draft, but like, dude, you're 14th on the team in tackles. You probably make more in NIL this year than you would in the NFL. Like it literally makes no sense for him to come back or not to go straight to the NFL draft. Like, what is he projected as, a 4th or 5th round pick? Like, dude, you can make that in NIL. You can vault yourself up to a 1st round pick. Before the season, he was projected as a 1st round pick. Now who the hell knows where he's going to go? So he has a clear opportunity to get a ton of playing time. He's got an elite developmental coach. I don't know. It makes no sense to me that Mason Smith's not coming back. But did you hear anything about that, Zach? Why he's not coming back?
I mean, it was kind of always expected to be a 3-year guy and then bounce. But I think there was a bunch of different factors is all I'll say. I mean, he has until the 15th to make a decision. As long as he didn't put pen to paper with an agent, he could still potentially come back. So if Bo Davis can reel him back in, or if they go ahead and hire Kevin Peoples, like that could be something that could help him, even though that's more of an edge rusher position. But look, like I think it's an interesting decision. I think a lot of people think it's an interesting decision. I think if you were asking 10 people, 9 of them would say that he probably should come back. I'm one of those 9 people. So there's so much room for him to grow as a player. And I think, like you said, that defensive line group is super thin. I mean, so thin to the point where you're sitting back and looking at who the hell are your reserves? Like Dominic McKinley's a 5-star who's going to be on campus, obviously. Not going to enroll until the summer. But that's a guy who's not necessarily going to come in and, make an impact on day one unless he has a really good summer, which he could with Bo Davis developing him. But, I mean, you're going to have to go and hit the transfer portal in that spring window with force. You do not have depth. And Mason Smith would have benefited significantly by coming back another year. But kind of going back to what you were saying, yeah, man, you're not necessarily screwed at defensive line, but goodness gracious, man, you don't have shit. I mean, you don't have shit. Like you have 4 or 5 bodies and not much experience in that area. So it's going to be an interesting next couple of months to see where they kind of look to retool, revamp that area. And
it literally, like before NIL, like I'd be like, oh, okay, he's going to take care of his family, he's getting paid whatever millions. Like, dude, NIL, like every time I drive through BR, all I see is Canes, Mason Smith billboards, and Mason
Gordon
Smith.
McKernan.
Yeah, like literally, dude, there's no way. Like it makes no sense to me. Like this is, I don't know what it is. Maybe hates going to school, but get some sorority girl to do your math homework. Like I don't know what to fucking tell you. So it makes no sense to me. This is where like Bama and Georgia and those other schools really separate themselves, because they always get those kind of guys that come back to school their senior year. I mean, how many times have we seen Bama players say, oh, he sat out, or he didn't play his freshman year, sophomore year got a little run, junior year he was good, but he didn't really vault himself to that top tier prospect.
I mean, you're starting to watch Ohio State do that too. I mean,
like these top tier programs continuously re-recruit their guys back, and LSU really needs to bring him back. And it just makes no sense for him to leave. But if he feels the need to leave, then go ahead. But yeah, it's just disappointing to see. Corey looks like he's got a lot to say.
I mean, they're gonna have to hit the transfer portal hard.
They got to get at least 4 defensive tackles.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I mean, that's all I have to say.
Your scholarship count's too high. You can probably only get 2. And with that, I mean, that's still gonna be tough.
Plus, like, this is the year Quincy Wiggins will have an actual chance to play, and he goes to Colorado.
But he's on the outside though, right? He's not really a defense. They don't have any like true nose tackles. Like they have none.
You literally have Jacoby and Guillory. You brought in Sean Washington from the JUCO ranks. You bring back Jalen Lee, who played in 7 games last year, and like, he has some room to grow. I'll put it at that. Like, he has a lot to prove. Like, he's not necessarily this guy who can make an impact off rip. So, like, you have 5 bodies in there. Jacoby and Guillory is the biggest returner for you. And, like, does he move the needle for a lot of people? I think he's a fantastic person. Huh?
He's solid, but that's about it.
I mean, he's great. He's a great person. He's a good player. But when you're in the SEC and you're in the trenches against, your Bamas, your whatever you want to name it, I mean, dude, like you're gonna have to go and find a couple of different bodies. And I'm intrigued to see what happens with the defensive line room. But yeah, I mean, that's enough talk about the coaching. That's enough talk about the defensive line group. Obviously, it's
hold on.
It's interesting.
We need to talk about coaching, and you keep mentioning the white elephant in the room.
Bama?
Yeah.
I feel like we were going to get on that.
Where were you when you heard it?
Bro, I was standing in my room looking at the TV, and I get a notification. It was a retweet. Somebody retweeted the guy Chris Lowe. Also, shout out him for being inside like that. That was awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's unbelievable. That's crazy.
I thought the Avs game, bro, and I Avs Gold Knights, and I just kept looking.
You had to have assumed.
Am I being pumped? Am I being
pumped
right
it
now?
had to come eventually.
Dude, this is great. And then who they hired is a guy who struggles recruiting. All right. He was 72nd, 27th, 25th at Washington. Washington, not an easy place to recruit. But then he also struggles defensively. Offensively, scheming, all that stuff's going to be pretty. But, dude, I was arguing with somebody. I was like, yeah, Bama's going to be Bama. I was like, dude, Saban's the greatest coach ever. You had potentially the 2 greatest coach ever in your program history. For a 30-year stretch there from 79 to 2009, they won 1 national title. 1, right? And you're stuck in between Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn, and LSU right there. And Florida State. The Wolves are coming out. The Wolves are coming out to poach that roster, and Hunt and Kalen, he better be ready to recruit his roster and also recruit the South, a place he has no clue. He has no history in the South. None.
I think it was like from a higher perspective, like obviously he's overachieved with the roster that he's had to a certain degree. But dude, like I love that OC. Ryan Grubb, I think is his name, the Washington offensive coordinator. Dude, if he's not number 1, like if he's not Washington's head coach next year, I'd be shocked. Because, dude, he made that engine go. And that's not discrediting Kalen by any means necessary because he's a fantastic coach and obviously he's a successor to freaking Nick Saban. But, dude, I hope Ryan Grubb gets that offensive I hope he gets that head coaching gig at Washington because he's a menace. He kicked ass with that program.
And also, dude, is it concerning like how many coaches said no to that job?
What was it, 2? It was
Stark, Lanning,
Norvell.
I believe somebody else. I can't think of who else it was. But you went all the way to your 4th option, a guy who has 6 years as a head coach. Yeah, I went to the national title this year, but struggles recruiting. Is a northern guy, doesn't know the
Kiffin,
South.
I think was the last guy.
Doesn't know the South. I don't know, Mike, man. Like, as an
It's a
LSU
hard-
fan, I feel pretty good today.
No, it's definitely the hardest job to follow. I mean, you're following the greatest college football
greatest.
coach, the greatest, yeah. And I mean, it's hard. I can see why no one, I mean, look at Bama fans like within the past couple of years, they were literally bitching at Saban. Like, I mean, I don't think that's a majority of them, but like there were rumblings about Saban the past couple of years. Oh, Paul Flybaum, oh, he might have lost his touch. Saban, no, blah blah. Remember we were talking about it like I don't know, 15 podcasts ago. People were saying on the ESPN, they're saying, has Saban lost his touch? Like, oh my God! Like, imagine following that job. So. Yeah, you're walking into a great situation, but at the same time, there is a big pit at your feet. So there's really not much rope on that job. So yeah,
Dude,
good luck to him.
And all these coaching, right? You got Bill Belichick, you got Pete Carroll, you got Saban, and then you see over there, Dennis Allen still has a freaking job.
Don't start.
Dude, Mike Vrabel, coach of the year 2 years ago. He lost his job, but hey, good old 25 and 48 DA, man. Let's keep him. The culture's good. God's plan. Dude, we do need to talk about that. We do.
With what?
With the Dennis Allen, like, dude, I don't understand. This is Corey's rant for today, and I'm gonna be quiet. As a head coach, any head coach, you got to back your players, right? Nick Sirianni, a lot of people hating on him right now, but there was a play call earlier this season, right? They called a short pass, and Jalen Hurts threw it deep. It was picked off after the game. He was like, yeah, I just wanted to be aggressive. That was my play call. That's on me. I wanted to be aggressive there. And then A.J. Brown a minute was like, no, I appreciate Nick for backing us, but we changed the play, and we did that. He wanted to call that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to let the cat out the bag to the media, and we're a part of the media. I understand where that's going to go, but in the post game, you're going to be like, yeah, I wanted to give Jamal the touchdown there. That shows weak ass leadership to me. To sit there and say, no, I wanted to kneel it out. It's not the way to play football. They didn't listen to me. Also, it shows that your team doesn't listen to you. It shows that you don't have your players back, and it shows that you're soft. And I thought Jameis did a great job explaining himself. Great job. I'm not going to say about – I'm going to be quiet about the other stuff. But
what other stuff, Corey?
What are you talking about, Corey?
I don't know.
Let's just say it's our job to ask questions, not give our opinion, but it's okay.
Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just talking strictly Saints, I mean, yeah, what the hell are we doing? You look at all the other coaching moves that are being made. Obviously, Mike Vrabel is one that moves the needle. To me, like Corey said, 2 years ago, he was the coach of the year. So to let him go off pretty quickly is interesting to me. Look, to me, by keeping Dennis Allen, it's a culture killer. I think you need to make a move. I don't know whether it's at quarterback, coaching staff, the entire coaching staff, head coach, whatever you need to do. Some things need to happen to move the needle because you're just going to start losing that fan base like you did towards the back end of the season. I mean, you would go to the Superdome and half the dome would be filled, maybe 3/4 if you're lucky on a good Sunday. But it's a culture killer by keeping somebody like Dennis Allen, in that building. So at the end of the day, I don't know if a move's going to be made. Obviously not. I mean, obviously at this point, Corey and all of us have kind of said like we don't think anything's going to happen here. But yeah, I think you got to do something because you're killing the culture in New Orleans when obviously you're a football city and you need to continue to improve on a year by year basis, and all you're doing is sucking with Dennis Allen in the mix. So that's it for me.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Them on DA stand dumbass, but go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I've just never seen so many people on the same page about Dennis Allen except Gail Benson and Mickey Loomis. So, a lot of they don't want to make the big move. Mickey's playing with his own job. He's relying on Dennis Allen, who is one of the worst coaching winning percentages in the history of the NFL. So players don't respect him. They change, throws him under the bus at the pregame or after the post game. So yeah, like you said, culture killer. That was Sean Payton's biggest thing when he came in. He's like, I'm eliminating these guys. I'm building a culture. I don't care if they're the greatest player on earth. Like, if they suck, whatever. But, now you got the head coach. So if you're a free agent in the NFL, you're not coming here. You got no cap space. Are they just doing this for the tank? I mean, that'd be some next level stuff. But it's not good. I said that I've been saying this. The Saints are on a 3 to 5 year hell. So, it just sucks.
Gruden stuff, Mike?
Like what? They're.
Assistant
What would he
coach?
be if Pete Carroll comes, or not Pete Carroll? If Pete Carmichael stays, what would he be?
He's going to be an offensive assistant. And what I've been told, it's a crazy stretch. And some people would be very pissed about this. What I've been told is he become like the associate head coach, offensive assistant, analyst, right? And if they would fire Dennis Allen, they would just put John Gruden as the interim head coach next year.
What does that do, dude? Just like I feel like it demonstrates to the team that you have multiple people at the top. Like, you need that. You need one guy at the top making the decisions and everything else. Now you got 3 leaders or 2 leaders. So, what if Gruden disagrees with Dennis Allen in the locker room? What's going to happen? Divide a locker room instantly.
He's still the assistant, so he can't disagree with him or anything. He's still under Dennis Allen. Every team has a assistant head coach.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying Gruden doesn't play. Because Gruden never played this role of like.
Right. Yeah, he hasn't done it since he was with the Eagles in the late 90s.
Yeah, and then Dennis Allen's on thin ice, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the hell Gail and Mickey are thinking, but I mean, just considering people are wanting to spend money on billboards with the fired Dennis Allen on airline, I don't know, man. They're not in a good place. The players don't respect them. They keep stretching these contracts out. They're going to trade Lattimore. It's just the band's breaking up, man.
What's your thoughts?
I'm so out of tune with the Saints and stuff at this point, man. Like, I don't know. I have no opinion. I'm indifferent on everything. I feel like if you don't hire Dennis Allen, like I said a million times, I've said it for the last 3-4 weeks, you're killing the culture. And that's it, bottom line. And then if you're looking at like stretching the salary cap and from a roster depletion perspective, I mean, to me, there's no roster reconstruction being done whatsoever because you have no room to work to sign other players. You're constantly fighting the cap. Even if the cap's non-existent, you kind of still keep stretching out all these contracts over and over and over again. So in turn, you're just setting yourself up for failure on a routine basis. Your coaching staff's below mid. Your head coach is horrendous. Your players are aging.
And you're old.
They're old. You have no players. Like I've said, this is the third time I'll say it, that move the needle anymore. Like you have a couple of standouts, but on defense. But like I said, they're aging. Cam Jordan's aging. Demario Davis is aging. Everybody's old as shit. So with all that being said, it comes back to the salary cap situation. I mean, you don't have any room to go out and sign these big name guys or try to make a splash because you have no room to work with. So in my opinion, it's just kind of like a cycle. Like it's an everlasting cycle where like your head coach blows, you go into the offseason, you can't make moves because you don't have a salary cap. You try to reconstruct contracts, you do what you can, and then you go back into the season, you're mid. And we've seen that for 2-3 years now. So look, we'll see what happens, but that's kind of like my overall thoughts on the Saints right now. It's a shitty time to be a Saints fan, and I kind of agree with what Mike's saying. It's a 3 to 4 to 5 year rebuild, and it's not necessarily a rebuild. It's just a 3 to 4 or 5 year window where you're going to have to accept the fact that this isn't a playoff team.
This team needs to rebuild instead of reload. They keep reloading, and that gun's got a lot of issues. All right, so let's talk about the most important thing. The most important thing on this podcast. A team that's been beating everybody's ass on the road. 7 straight games, 30-point wins the last 2 games, even making Mike stop whining in the comment section. The New Orleans Pelicans on the road tonight, taking on the defending champs. Is this the best basketball they've been playing all season? In my opinion, absolutely yes. I mean, 2 straight road wins against solid teams, scoring 140. You got against the Warriors the other night. It was beautiful. 21 points is your highest point scorer. Everybody getting in mix. You're finally playing Hawkins and Trey Murphy. Oh, it was glorious. It's glorious. Right now, this is the best the team's looked.
Are you going as a fan tonight, or do you have to cover for
I'm
work?
going as a fan. I tell
You're
you
gonna
what,
be shitty.
it's all 504 tonight with me and Victoria. We found this place called Nola Jane's. We're gonna go get some gumbo. We're gonna go get some po' boys. We already called, made sure they have some Abita. All right, and then
Oh
I'm going in
yeah.
there obnoxious. I'm gonna
Oh
be
yeah.
crying, cacawing, trick or treat, trigger.
That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a fun one. Like you said, yeah. Well, Mike, actually, you go. I went on a tangent a couple minutes ago about the Saints. You go.
Yeah, not much to complain about. They still need a rim protector. They're fun to watch right now. I was telling Corey before the podcast, they need Zion at the point guard more. If you put Hawkins and Murphy and those guys on the edge, I mean, that would spread the floor even more. You can't double team the dude if he's going straight to the rim as a point guard. So that was when he was most effective. But yeah, there's really not much to complain about. They look really, really good. I just hope they can stay healthy. I mean, I don't know what there's to say. Just keep playing Hawkins and stay healthy. So, yeah.
Bottom line, and we talked about that the other day. Mike, we said like what we've been here before, where we've seen them clicking on all cylinders once you got into January, and then obviously hell broke loose. So stay healthy, keep the rotation going. Hopefully, Willie can keep doing second half adjustments, even though he hasn't really needed to because they've been kind of blowing teams out for the most part. So keep rolling. That's it.
I'd say adjustment to not blowing a 10, 20-point lead is just fucking keep the knife on their throat and beat the shit out of them by 40. That's the adjustment, man. Look at that. There we go, man. That makes me happy, dude.
I agree.
Yeah, trade deadline's coming up too, so there'll be some fun rumors as well.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the word rumors. I doubt we do shit.
Dude, no, I don't think.
Well, they're gonna get under the luxury tax, and they're over it right now. So they're gonna trade Kyra or Zeller or somebody. So I mean, won't be a big move, but you could package Kyra, Zeller, and maybe I don't know. Hell, maybe even this year's first for Clint Capella or whoever. So Nagy, I don't know. So who knows what's gonna happen? But they'll make one. They'll make some kind of move. There's no doubt about it.
Did you see Kyra Lewis went 0 for 9 from the field?
He's the GOAT.
I want to go back and find that rant that I went on about Kyra Lewis a couple months ago because holy shit, I hate him. Like, there's no player that I dislike more, probably in the NBA, than Kyra Lewis. I mean, I'm telling you, bro, he weighs a cotton ball. All he is fast. He does nothing special. He's bums. He can't shoot. He can't play make. All he can do is try to get to the basket and get downhill. And he can't finish when he gets downhill. There's nothing that Kyra Lewis does that reminisces an NBA player.
Wait, I got a question. Do you like Jackson Hayes or Kyra Lewis more?
I like Jackson Hayes way more than Kyra Lewis.
I hate Jack.
Yeah. It's a hard-hitting question.
I like Jackson Hayes more than I like Kyra Lewis.
Been balling out this year is actually Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
He's on such a shitty team. It's so hard to like even.
Noah's been balling. I'm happy.
I'm not surprised. Every Pelicans fan has seen false promises and false glimpses from him. Yeah, I mean, the random 30-point game his sophomore year. Like, yeah, he's got talent. He works hard, so I'm not surprised by anything I hear with Nickeil.
Huh?
Is he on the Wolves now?
Yes.
Oh, I'm tripping. He ain't on a shitty team at all. No, I'm wrong.
I was about to say, dude.
Yeah, really I forgot he moved on from the Jazz.
No, he's on the Wolves.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, before we go, we quickly went over, or we glanced past Bryce Underwood. Literally number one player recruited to LSU ever. So Zach, you want to hit on that?
Yeah, and I'll kind of try to look at a timer. I'll try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. I mean, obviously it's a program-changing prospect. Number one, it's the biggest. You could probably say one or two, besides like Leonard Fournette and maybe a couple other people before the modern era of recruiting. One of the biggest recruits of all time for LSU. He's a program-changing player. He's a unicorn. He's a fantastic prospect, and you're going to see a lot of players follow him here. But speaking just on his part, I mean, look, for quarterback coach Joe Sloan to roll out the red carpet, keep tabs on him, keep working the phone lines, keep making that happen, it is big. So to get somebody up from Michigan to come down to Louisiana is a really big deal. And look, this is one that they've been working on for a really long time. He's been in Baton Rouge 4 times in the calendar year of 2023. So to kind of get it done, locked and loaded is a great sign. And look, obviously he doesn't put pen to paper till December, but this kid's locked in. It's going to be the type of thing where I don't think he might go on a couple of visits, but I think at the end of the day, he's going to put pen to paper and be a Tiger. So yeah, I mean that's about as big as it gets on the recruiting trail for LSU this year. You're not going to get anything bigger than that. That's absolutely incredible. So yeah, your quarterback room is looking pretty decent for the foreseeable future. That 2025 class is going to be one of the biggest and best that you've ever had come through Baton Rouge, headlined by DeCorian Moore, Harlem Berry, and Bryce Underwood. So yeah, I mean that's a program changing prospect.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive. I mean, LSU's been a quarterback graveyard the past, I don't even know. Before Burrow, it was ugly. So if you just go
Yeah.
through the stretch, it was not good. And all their starting quarterbacks are transfers as well before Burrow. So yeah, no, it's good to set this foundational piece for 2025 class, and it's pretty exciting to be an LSU fan right now. And there's some more recruits coming this weekend, Zach.
I mean, yeah, you're bringing in Dominic McKinley this weekend, 5-star commit. He committed on New Year's Eve and flipped him from Texas A&M. That was a huge deal. And LSU's been trying to get him down south for not really down south, but down to Baton Rouge for an official visit for the last couple of months. And he finished out his high school season. He committed, and now he's going to come for his official. And he's not going to roll until the summer, but he's going to sign with LSU in February. So he's not entertaining anything else. He's locked in with LSU, and he's probably about to be in town in the next 2 to 3 hours, and he'll be here for the whole weekend with his family. And I mean, that's a big time move, especially earlier, like we were talking about. The defensive line depth is absolute shitsville. So to get Dominic McKinley back on campus, lock things in is big. And then you're bringing in a transfer this weekend. You're bringing in a really coveted wide receiver out of Liberty. And I know Liberty plays kind of a JV schedule, so having 55 receptions for 1,000 yards isn't necessarily one that moves the needle for a lot of people. But this kid is really talented. And you got Auburn, you got Texas, you got Oregon, you got all these big programs kind of pushing for his services. So for LSU to get in the mix is really impressive. But right now the Longhorns kind of, have him, locked in. But to get an LSU visit, we'll see if they can make a difference there. So big weekend. McKinley, that receiver, and then Caden Durham and Xavier Atkins will be in town. So big weekend.
Told you Ty Thompson was coming to Tulane last week. Did I not?
Big time, bro. Big time. God, it's crazy.
ULL could never with their no logo and ESPN.
No NIL, no nothing, bro. Nothing. But
losing Zion Chris broke my heart.
Can't believe he went to Houston, but it makes sense.
No, he's a stud.
Dude, I've been telling Mike for years there was a level gap between Tulane and Louisiana.
Clear.
And he was like, no, it's not. Tulane would never be anything. Hey.
It's clear cut.
The Giants looking up.
I'm going to keep denying it. I don't give a shit.
All right, fellas.
So much fun living in denial.
Tried to tell you.
All right. Anything else you want to plug?
That is all for me. Corey, go crazy tonight. Support the Pels. It's going to be crazy as hell.
Oh, hey, tomorrow I'm going to see Bronny.
Damn.
USC. So
hell yeah.
I'll be in a nice Boulder tomorrow.
Is Cody Williams playing right now?
No.
When's he come back, or is he coming back?
If he comes back, I think they said it was either 3 to 5 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks. I forgot what it was. I have to check. I might be wrong.
LSU basketball is looking good with Cook.
They look good. They look better than expected. They might win 6 SEC games.
Yeah.
That's a win.
Yeah. As long as they're moving forward, as long as LSU basketball is moving forward, they'll be okay.
Hey,
he has another year eligibility, so
whatever. Hey, we should have one more year. I mean, one team make the tournament, and Will Wade's McNeese Cowboys, who beat Michigan.
Yeah. A really shitty Michigan, but Michigan.
They beat Michigan. They
still beat Michigan. Like
Lafayette.
Yeah.
They beat, UAB. They've beaten some good teams.
Agreed. It's impressive.
VCU. They beat VCU, Michigan, the Raging Cajuns, and UAB.
Yeah. I didn't know. I forgot. I didn't know about the TCU win, though. I didn't look in that.
No, VCU.
Oh, you said VCU? Okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, all right. Well, good podcast, boys.
That's it. Good stuff, fellas.
That's it for the 504 podcast. Fly, Pelicans, fly. Caw-caw! Caw-caw!